February 28, 1997, at 9:17 a.m., officers of the Los Angeles Police Department became involved in a fierce gun battle. Not since the 1974 gun battle with the Symbionese Liberation Army had officers faced as violent and destructive a firefight. For the next few minutes, we'll look back at the 45-minute incident. But first, some background. There had been similar robberies in the area. In May of 1996, men armed with assault rifles robbed two San Fernando Valley branches of Bank of America. They entered those banks wearing dark clothing over body armor. In both takeover-style robberies, they fired shots into the air and ordered everyone onto the floor. They netted over $1.5 million in those holdups and never stayed in either bank longer than 8 minutes. Investigators believe these suspects were also involved in an armored car robbery in the West Valley area in June of 1995. In this robbery, the suspects killed a guard and stole $120,000. In March of 1996, also in the West Valley area, masked gunmen in a white vehicle shot at an armored car with an AK-47. The armored car escaped, and the suspect's vehicle was later found burned. Unknown to the LAPD, in October of 1993, Glendale police arrested Larry Phillips and Emil Matasareanu for conspiracy to commit robbery. During that arrest, police discovered the suspects to be in possession of 2 assault rifles, various handguns, body armor, and 3,000 rounds of ammunition. A plea bargain resulted in minimum time served for the two. They were later able to obtain a court order to have their weapons returned. It is these 2 men who would cause 45 minutes of terror on Friday, February 28, 1997. It was a sunny, breezy day that Friday morning. A group of customers had gathered in the Bank of America at 6600 Laurel Canyon Boulevard. For the moment, everything was business as usual. North Hollywood Division had its usual small deployment of officers in the field. The bulk of the day watch was not scheduled to come on until 10 a.m. At 9:17 a.m., officers Martin Perello and Lauren Farrell were driving southbound on Laurel Canyon between Archwood and Kittredge Streets. Their radio picked up a communications broadcast asking for any North Hollywood unit to handle a business burglary. At that same moment, Perello looked to his left and saw something unusual.
I just looked over, and I just saw him there, standing in broad daylight.
5840, requesting assistance. We have a possible 211 in progress at the Bank of America. Laurel Canyon and north of Kittredge. We have shots fired.
Farrell and Perello immediately took positions in the bank's south parking lot. They directed other officers as they arrived in response to their call for assistance. Inside the bank, the 2 suspects began their takeover robbery. Matasareanu fired a large burst of gunfire to get past the security barrier.
The guys walked in, they looked like they were RoboCop. I mean, they were so heavily armed, and they looked dangerous.
All units officer needs help. Laurel Canyon, north of Kittredge, at the Bank of America. The shots fired.
L40, be advised, I got 2 witnesses over here say there's possibly 2 or 3 suspects inside, possible AK-47s. They're wearing ski masks and dark clothing.
Clad in ski masks and body armor and carrying high-powered assault rifles, the 2 suspects forced everyone in the bank to the floor.
Right after they came in, they started shooting at the doors to get into the back where the tellers were at.
Outside, officers began to deploy and surround the bank.
Stay free, we want someone to position themselves safely to lock the front door. We don't think the suspects know we are here.
Felt like I was in Bosnia or something, just fully automatic weapons just going, screaming, you know, get down, we want all the money. If you push the silent alarm, we're going to kill everybody in the bank.
L40, 4 shots are being fired from inside the bank.
Switching out 40, more shots are being fired from the suspects at Laurel Canyon, north of Kittredge, at the Bank of America.
I want 1 unit on the north side, I want a unit on the south side, and I want a unit on the back, if possible.
By now, units had deployed north of the bank on Archwood Street and to the west in the Hughes and Builders Emporium parking lot. Other officers covered the east side of the bank from the backyard of the house near the old bank drive-through canopy. The suspects had been inside the bank for 8 minutes. The time was 9:25. The suspects came out through the bank's northwest door and began firing.
Everybody stay down, rapid automatic fire, they're panning the area with fire. Large shots fired. Large shots fired. 6600, Laurel Canyon Boulevard.
Their first targets were the officers and citizens at the corner of Laurel Canyon and Archwood. Sergeant Dean Haynes, 15L40, Officer Martin Whitfield, 9L89, and 2 citizens were injured during the exchange of gunfire. The suspects continued to shoot from the doorway. Their rounds shattered a light pole and riddled a police car with bullets. Officers across the street began firing at the suspects. The gunmen then turned their attention to the officers and detectives near the key shack in the Hughes parking lot. Citizens and officers alike sought some sort of protective cover from the deadly gunfire. Glass shattered, rounds skipped by, and nothing seemed like sufficient protection. Officers Stuart Guy and James Zavoravan and detectives William Krulak and Tracy Angeles moved away from the key shack for better cover. As they dashed for safety, the suspects shot all 4 of them.
Before the parking lot. We need a supervisor to form a recovery unit and pick up this officer.
They're requesting a supervisor to form a recovery unit to pick up the officer.
After going in and out the bank door twice during the shooting, the suspects finally grabbed the money bag and walked to their getaway car in the north parking lot of the bank. As the suspects were leaving the bank doorway, Van Nuys officers Anthony Kabunik and Todd Schmitz formulated a plan to rescue Officer Guy and Detective Angeles. Drawing on their mobile field force training, the officers drove their vehicle quickly to the downed officer's location. With the help of Detective Angeles and with the threat of automatic gunfire menacing, they placed Officer Guy into the back seat of the police car. Just as they practiced during training, they drove in reverse away from the scene. Once safely out of the parking lot, they drove Officer Guy to a waiting paramedic ambulance.
Suspects on the north side of the building. They're walking around like nothing. They got 1847, 2 of them are dressed in all black, heavy body armor.
Surrounded by officers, the suspects began to fire a barrage of bullets. Phillips initially targeted the detectives in the yard behind the east wall of the bank. Casually, almost nonchalantly, Phillips retrieved extra ammunition from his utility web belt and reloaded his assault rifle. Officers, maintaining their distance, returned fire with shotguns and handguns. Peppered by rounds from the officers, Phillips fired furiously to the north and west. Just north of Archwood on the west sidewalk, 9L89 Officer Whitfield lay by a tree bleeding profusely from a severe gunshot wound to his leg. Like the citizens by the police car in the intersection, he was pinned down by automatic weapon fire. Across the street from Officer Whitfield at the Del Taco, officers continued to engage the suspect.
Pour fire in on the suspect. I'm going to make an attempt to get to the wounded officer.
Not giving ground, officers continued to fire on the suspect.
Unit 37, and let the steering get in the air.
637 Northeast.
Steering get in the air. Let him go higher.
Now, Phillips turned his attention to the sky. He fired indiscriminately at police and news helicopters.
We've just been informed that the suspect is shooting at our helicopter and the other helicopters, so I'm going to try to keep a picture with you, but we are being shot at this time.
The suspect is walking along the east side of the bank. He's just daring people to come after him. He's got additional weapons. The trunk is open on his vehicle. Should be out 10. If somebody has a shot, take it. Suspect's head. To any unit that is available to go to BND and pick up some weapons.
Outgunned, officers sought better weapons from a nearby gun store. Once again, both suspects fired their automatic weapons as the wounded huddled in fear. With no weapons yet available from the gun store, 15L10 repeated his request for SWAT.
We need someone one here with some heavy guns. We need SWAT code 3.
Phillips continued his unrelenting hail of bullets.
15L10, contact North Hollywood Station, have them bring extra reserve ammunition out to the scene, code 3.
Slowly, with Phillips on foot and Matasareano in the car, the suspects began to leave the parking lot. Using the car as shield, like an infantryman with a tank, Phillips walked north towards the driveway. Officers continued to fire and prevent their escape, only to draw more gunfire in return.
Roger, at Laurel Canyon.
The suspect is in the vehicle and has not come out. He may be hit. The other suspect is walking on the inside of the vehicle. He's taking the wall. Everybody down.
Everybody down, shots are being fired. One suspect is possibly injured inside the vehicle and one is outside the white vehicle to the rear of the bank.
South of the bank, SWAT officers had arrived and began to organize a rescue attempt for the downed officer and citizens. Still surrounded, Phillips took cover before unleashing another barrage of gunfire. Firing furiously, Phillips left the parking lot on foot as Matasareano continued to drive the white getaway car. Phillips quickly took cover under a tractor-trailer truck.